Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a video on Apex Legends once again. Today's video is a bit of a controversial one because if you guys have been under a rock lately, there's a lot of information about the ALGS and how it's going to be changed a little bit with the removal of the dropship. Now, there's a massive essay here by one of the developers, I believe it's John Lawson, basically saying why this is an issue. And although I can see why it can be an issue, just to kind of summarize, the dropships basically provide a lot of issues that the developers see is not very good for ALGS specifically. For normal games, it's fine because the normal games, it doesn't really matter that much. But for ALGS, when you're at the very high point of the competition, a lot of the stakes are on the line type of thing, you know what I mean? There's a lot of money up for grabs. And so when you have things like RNG being at stake here as well, it obviously presents an issue that the developers want to fix. So the actual problem is that, first of all, the dropship comes at one angle, and some of the players at the end of the dropship will be getting like the loot at a very late point in the game, which essentially means if you are landing at the end of the dropship in the point of interest there, and the circle is a really far distance away in the other direction, chances are you're not going to be able to get to that area in time before the circle moves. That's obviously in conjunction with all the ring changes that obviously happened. Which, yes, I see that is a problem. I absolutely do. However, this could be solved by just making the dropship go faster, specifically for ALGS. I think a lot of people are very understanding that where they are going is where they are going, you know what I mean? And like having the dropship go along faster for the higher level people, they just had to be more aware about where they are, you know? And I think that at least would make it so people can get to their point of interest faster, make it so you can skydive faster at the start of the game. There's a lot of different solutions that they could do to make it so people can get to their locations faster. That's the first problem, and it's a very easy solve that doesn't actually require this system. So what actually is the system that they are trying to include? The system is, essentially, you have a little list that you have to put forward, where you essentially choose a location out of, I believe, 29 different possible locations on the map, at which your squad will spawn at. Most of these are just in like the actual big point of interests. And so it basically means that every team will have their own point of interest in the map. Now, on paper, this sounds great because, all right, okay, every team gets their own point of interest, and, you know, you get there quickly because you just spawn right on top of it, and then you just fly down right on top of it, bim, bam, bomb, you're sorted. And you just have to focus on going to circle. It sounds good on paper. However, it's not amazing because not every single map has 20 different points of interest for all the 20 different teams in an ALGS game. I believe Stormpoint has 19, so that means that one team will have to go to a non-point of interest location, which is not great, of course. Now, normally what happens in these situations where teams are essentially forced to not go to these point of interests is rather than going to an area that doesn't have great loot, that isn't obviously in a point of interest, there's something called, you have POI contests, which is basically two teams battling out for a point of interest. Now, I find it really interesting, and I think it's really a really good solution, honestly, that the players have actually done themselves in a way. If you are a bad team, right, and you are trying to essentially hold your ground on one point of interest, just know that another team could go to that point of interest and kill you every single game, and then essentially you are dropping into a POI that another team is going as well, and chances are you're going to keep dying. And so you have to really think yourself, do we really still go to this point of interest, or do we try to battle it out with another team in another point of interest so that we actually survive a little longer? And that is really interesting because essentially you can steal another team's point of interest if you are better at them at that point of interest. However, with this system, that's not even possible. That is not possible at all. That is the problem that they're trying to actually revert, essentially. They're trying to make it so there is no contest at the start of the game, which I think is a really bad thing. I think contests at the start of the game are good. It is essentially a battle of skill rather than a battle of RNG. Now, the RNG actually does come in here. There is actually more RNG that the developers are adding here with the whole script thing. Basically, teams are having to like essentially put their teams into a hat, to which the developers then rummage around and get a certain amount of teams to then pick at the start of the game which locations they want to drop at. Now, this is really bad for numerous reasons. First of all, RNG. What if you're the team at the start of the day, all ready to play the game, and you get the last pick? Well, you're all up and ready to play the game, but then your point of interest could get taken, and then all of a sudden you're going to have terrible games. And then when it gets to the turns where you actually do get your first pick, you've been playing for how many hours? And you're gonna be tired. You're not going to have the benefit anymore of having the best POI. But another problem as well is the chances are, if you do have people who are, say, on match point in ALGS, which is essentially, if you don't know what that means, it's when you get enough points where if you win the next game, you will then just simply win the entire competition, or the day, or whatever it is. So if you get a team that is at that stage, but then, they have like the last call for a location, then chances are some teams will choose their dropping spot. So that team who is on match point cannot go to their normal point of interest without a team actually going there. And so in a way, it's forcing contests even more than normal. Overall, I think this is one of the worst changes that the developers have tried to actually add. I don't think it'll even be remotely close to what they think it is. And the thing is that's actually kind of worrying is the developers have already, put the balls on the wall and have basically said that this is coming in the next ALGS event. And I think a lot of pros are not very happy about it. Some are, of course, and some aren't, but I think overall, this is bad. This is really, really bad. I think it doesn't really show actual skill. It just kind of like makes it so it's just all RNG based. You just go to a random location, you're going to have to fight it out from there. Whereas before, it was actually location based. You go to the best location and you fight it from there. If that's how they want it to be, where you just go to a random location and you're going to have to try and fight it out from that location and that's it, then fair enough. I guess that might make, watching some players a little bit more interesting, because then they're going to have to actually play the game from all these different locations rather than playing the game the exact same point of interest over and over and over and over again, knowing where the nearby teams are over and over and over and over again. And so I guess that is kind of like a nice little thing, I guess, because it makes it so the game is more fresh when you're actually watching it as a viewer. But I can't help see that there's problems. But I would like to know what you guys think about this, because of course I think it is a bit of a shit change overall. The idea is there. I absolutely believe that. I think the developers have, a good heart when they try to do this, but I don't think it's been executed very well.